welcome to the deep dive. We cut through the noise, get you those key insights, fast and clear.
Glad to be here.
So today we're diving into something, well, pretty mind-bending. The idea that reality isn't just, out there for us to watch,
Right.
but something we might actually be co-creating, interacting with on a much, much deeper level, almost like programming it.
It's a huge premise, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests that what feels so solid, so real, is actually built on this foundational architecture, a cosmic blueprint, if you like. And it's way more dynamic, more responsive than we usually think.
Absolutely. And the core concept for this deep dive, our sources are calling it the YHVH operating system.
Yeah.
And this isn't just some dusty old symbol, right? It's described as this esoteric framework, the actual architecture underneath reality. Like you said, the universe is software.
Exactly. And our mission today is really to give you a shortcut to understanding this. Pretty profound stuff. We've dug into a really fascinating mix of sources.
Yeah.
Texts talking about crystal oracles, dragon veins, others looking at our own inner fire, even cosmic scripting. It's quite a range.
Okay, cool. So our goal here is to unpack all that, offer some insights into how this suggests you have way more agency, more say in your reality than maybe you thought.
And give you clear takeaways. Some surprising facts, maybe, to help grasp this idea of the unparalleled editability of reality.
Unparalleled editability. I like that. Okay, so let's jump right in. This YHVH operating system, are we seriously suggesting reality runs on some kind of internal code? Like a computer?
Well, it's a useful way to think about it, yeah. The sources don't just present it as a symbol. It's a functional architecture, and it underlies the generative and recursive nature of reality.
Generative and recursive.
Think of it as the ultimate divine programming language. Like the universe is running on this incredible self-creating software.
Wow. Okay, so if it is a programming language, like a divine one, does it have its own syntax, its own basic commands?
It does, yeah. It's usually broken down into 4 key components.
Yeah.
Foundational syntax, you could say, the core functions of this cosmic software.
All right, what are they?
So, first up, you've got Yog.
Dude.
Both
yeah,
the genesis, the seed, the initial impulse, the singularity of potential. Think of it like flipping the on switch for the universe, or the very first spark of an idea, an intention, an opening bracket maybe, in a line of cosmic code. Just pure, raw potential.
Pure potential, the initial thought, okay, I get that. So what happens after that spark?
Then comes he.
The first.
The first he.
Right.
This is where that initial impulse, the yod, starts to take shape. It's the form, the house, the field. It's the container, the environment where the idea starts to materialize.
It sets the stage.
Exactly. Our sources call it the rendering of raw data into manifest form.
Yeah.
It sets the parameters for what's going to happen, the initial blueprint.
Okay, makes sense. And then the connections between things, that must be the next part.
That's the VAV.
VAV.
Got it. Precisely. VAV is the nail, the connection, the continuity. It's the pattern link within that form, within the first he.
Ah, okay.
It represents that connective synchronicitous revolution. It's like the logic gate, the algorithm that connects everything. It weaves the threads together, ensures that flow, like the lines of code linking different functions in a program.
So we have the spark, the form, the connection, and then there's another he. What's the final one about?
That's right, he.
Yeah.
The final, this one signifies the reflective completion and the karmic return.
Karmic return.
Yeah. It's the output, the close bracket, if you like. It's where the initial intention, having gone through the form and the connections, comes back around. It is the manifested reality, the final product. And critically, it then informs the next cycle.
Wow.
And what's absolutely crucial, the core idea for you listening, is that this whole YHVHOS, it's presented as an editable interface.
Editable.
Yeah, like a divine gift, a system where our consciousness is actually meant to interact with reality, to actively edit it.
Okay, hold on. If it's really editable, how do we do that? How do we interface with it? What are our tools for this cosmic programming? Because that sounds like we're all potential co-creators here.
That is exactly it. And our sources are pretty clear on this. Our primary tool is language.
Language, just talking.
Well, yes and no. They call it spellcraft.
Spellcraft. Okay, that sounds a bit out there.
I know. But it's not magic like in, Harry Potter. It's more the conscious or unconscious programming of reality.
Yeah.
Every word you say, every thought you even form, it's a direct engagement with this YHVH operating system.
So every word is like sending a command, shaping the world.
It's described as an alchemical process, actually. Your throat chakra, your energetic center for communication, is said to modulate something called ki.
Ki, right, I've heard of that.
It's this preform energy. And the third chakra modulates it into what the texts call encoded intent waves, EIW.
Intent waves.
Think of it this way. Each word is like a promissory vibrational note. It carries a specific frequency, a precise command being broadcast out. Your thoughts, your words, they're like sending out a specific Wi-Fi signal to the universe.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. This ki you mentioned, this monoatomic etheric fire. What is that fundamentally, and why is it so key to all this?
Ki is.
Okay.
Well, fundamentally, it's described as the primal substance of creation.
Primal substance.
Yeah. You hear different terms. Monoatomic etheric fire, latent radiant vibrational plasma, or just simply inner fire.
Yeah.
It's fundamental because it precedes matter.
Before matter.
Yes. It's preform energy. It exists along what's called a continuum of destiny. It's the raw stuff that eventually crystallizes into our physical bodies, our biology, but it also manifests as our thoughts, our intentions, our spiritual essence.
So it's the raw energy behind literally everything, including us. The fabric of existence.
That's the idea, exactly. And, modern ideas like biofield theory kind of echo this, suggesting living systems are interpenetrated by energy fields, which you could see as localized expressions of this bigger ki field. Our sources also talk a lot about dual energetic polarity, or DEP, that's seen as the architect's blueprint for how ki actually takes form. And this is the classic yin and yang interplay.
Yin and yang. Okay, most people have heard of that, but how do those opposites, how do they actually drive creation?
Well, the key is they're not really opposites in a conflicting sense. They're complementary resonance.
Complementary. Oh.
Yin is receptive, cooling, consolidating. It represents potential, contraction, pulling in. Yang is expansive, active electric charge. It's outward movement, initiation, pushing out.
Right.
And it's their ceaseless ontological interplay, their constant dance back and forth, that actually shapes waveform into reality. Yang pushes the energy out, yin gathers it, condenses it. This dynamic creates the first he, the initial form or container, that then leads to the vav, the connections and patterns, and finally it results in the final he, the densified tangible form. It's this constant push and pull that drives the densification into form.
Wow. That's a really powerful way to visualize how energy becomes, stuff, the physical world. And this inner fire part of ki, can we use that? Practically.
Absolutely. This inner fire aspect is said to have this amazing capacity to strip away psychic residue and emotional static. Basically, it purifies our energetic channels, like an energetic detox.
Okay.
And the sources even mention the hand chakras, the energy centers in your palms, as being the most accessible and potent portal of application or transmission for this refined ki.
So you can direct it with your hands.
That's the idea. You can learn to direct this refined energy for various things, maybe clearing the energy in a room, enhancing your focus, even for self-healing.
Okay, so we've got this operating system, YHVH. We've got our own inner energy, Chi, to interface with it through language and intent. What about the world around us, the external environment? Can we read that too? Does it hold information?
Absolutely. The external world is definitely part of this whole editable system. It's constantly giving feedback, holding data. Take crystals, for example.
Crystals, right.
They're described as much more than just pretty rocks. They're sophisticated feedback generators, sentient data repositories, and even refined interfaces into the sublimic resonance field, the SRF.
Whoa, so like cosmic hard drives. Or really sensitive energetic sensors.
You could definitely put it that way, yeah. Their structure, that perfect repeating matrix, allows them to store, process, and filter huge amounts of energetic information.
How would someone use that?
Well, an adept, someone skilled in this, can learn the delicate art of tuning into the space of a densely populated emotochrome.
Emotochrome? What's that?
It's a term used for areas that are just saturated with emotional, mental, or energetic residue. Think of places with intense history, or just densely populated areas with lots of collective feeling.
Okay.
The crystal then acts as a filtered interface, retrieving these subtle energies that exist within the instructional choreography.
Instructional
Choreography, like a dance.
Oh.
It refers to the inherent energetic pattern, the subtle dance of energy currents in a particular space.
Got it. So the crystal helps you read the energy pattern.
Exactly. And they're not just passive tools. They're described as automatic note takers. They add to their matrix of information, or sometimes called detritus of data.
Detritus of data. Essentially.
It implies accumulated information. They essentially learn and gather insights the more they're used and exposed to different energies.
So they learn.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And for the Aikidoka, that's someone who seeks to harmonize and redirect energy crystals, can relay feedback in secret places.
Secret places.
Meaning, like, within your intuitive mind, maybe through dreams or sudden flashes of insight, they help you read the manifestations of the YHVHOS in a specific environment. Like they're whispering secrets to your subconscious.
Okay, that's fascinating with crystals. But what's really grabbing me is how these ideas scale up from these small crystals to the whole planet. Tell us about these dragon veins.
Right. So the idea is the Earth itself isn't inert. It's animated by these vast currents of chi. And these are called dragon lines or long line.
Dragon lines.
Yeah. The planet's actual topography, the mountains, the rivers, isn't just geology. It's seen as an epic picture of orgone energy, revealing how this planetary chi flows and concentrates. Think of the Earth having its own massive energetic circulatory system.
So the landscape itself is a dynamic energy map. That's incredible.
That's exactly the concept. And within this huge network, you have special points called zoo, or dragon caverns. Yes, these are highly potent nodal points where the ki converges. Think of them like acupuncture points on the Earth's body, places of immense natural power, often where you find ancient sacred sites.
Wow.
And this connects right back to the YHVHOS, doesn't it? The Earth's physical geography is like the first he, the container, the form, and the VAV, the connection, is evident in the seamless flow of these energy currents across huge distances.
So what can someone who understands this, an adept, actually do with this knowledge of dragon lines and zoo?
Well, they can develop the ability to sense and interpret the Earth's consciousness, its energetic state. They can learn to harmonize and direct its chi, maybe subtly influencing it for their spellcraft.
Yeah.
And they can access power points, these viewpoints, for things like meditation, healing, or amplifying their intentions. It's really about engaging with the planet as a living, responsive being.
Okay, it's one thing to talk about ancient crystals and these huge earth energies, dragon lines, but what about right now, the world we live in, our cities? Concrete, steel, chaos. Do these principles even apply there?
They absolutely do, yeah. Our sources talk about the urban shaman perspective.
Urban shaman. Interesting.
This is someone who sees the cityscape not just as noise and buildings, but as a living, breathing entity. A densely populated emotochrome, just like we talked about with crystals, but on a massive scale. A pulsating nexus of collective consciousness. Think of all the energy, thoughts, emotions, intentions from millions of people swirling around.
That's all that urban noise, the traffic, the crowds. That's actually raw ki.
It is, according to this view, it's raw, concentrated chi. Maybe turbulent, yes, but incredibly potent. A reservoir of preform energy.
So what does the urban shaman do with it?
They choose to actively engage with it, not just block it out. This can lead to a less filtered connection with the urban consciousness, which in turn can spark new forms of intention and insight, trigger huge creative inspiration even.
So it's about transmuting that chaotic energy, turning it into something usable.
Precisely. It's an active transmutation of chaotic energies into a more coherent flow. It's very similar, actually, to how personal ki work helps purify your own energy field.
Right.
The whole urban environment is seen as this complex manifestation of the first he, the form. It's constantly being shaped by the VAV, all the human interactions, the flows of traffic, information, money, and it has these generative final he feedback loops. It's like a living spell being constantly cast and recast by the collective unconscious.
Huh. Makes you think about your daily commute differently, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Okay, so we've got the system, we interface with it, we can read the environment. What does this mean day to day? Does the system actually talk back? Or are we just, shouting commands into the void?
Oh, it absolutely talks back. Definitely. This is where the concept of synchronous resonance comes in.
Synchronous resonance, okay.
It's described as occurring when an object engages with the field, and an auxiliary object responds in an almost coincidental, near simultaneous fashion. Think synchronicity, but maybe more. Precise.
So, those meaningful coincidences, they're not random.
Not according to this framework, no. They're seen as the direct feedback loop of the cosmos. A precise and eloquent response from that sublimic resonance field, the SRF we mentioned.
Wow, so it's like direct, intelligent communication from the universe.
That's the core idea, yeah. And it's deeply tied into that VAV principle. The connection, the continuity, the pattern. Like synchronicity is like the visible manifestation of the VAV in action.
Okay.
Remember those encoded intent waves we talked about?
Yeah.
Launched from the throat chakra via refined ki.
Yeah.
When those waves align with the inherent harmony of the YHVHOS, the universe responds. Often with undeniable, sometimes startling, synchronicity.
What kind of response are we talking about? Can you give an example?
Well, for someone who's attuned to this, daily life can become filled with subtle guidance. These synchronicities aren't just random happenings, they're precise indications of alignment or misalignment. Like meeting exactly the right person you needed to talk to, just when you needed them. Or an unexpected insight just pops into your head and perfectly answers a question you've been struggling with. Or maybe an opportunity appears out of the blue that aligns perfectly with an intention you just set.
Okay, yeah, I think we've all had moments like that.
Right. And this framework says those are the universe's signals, confirming you're on the right track, or maybe gently nudging you, hey, maybe rethink this bit. A course correction.
So mastery in this system means learning to recognize and interpret these signals, these synchronicities.
It means recognizing the intelligent, responsive nature of the YHVHOS. Yes. It helps validate your spellcraft, refine your intentions, and basically navigate your own path, your fate, with much greater precision and confidence. It's like learning to read the universe's silent language.
This sounds incredibly powerful. I mean, literally like coding reality, as we said at the start. But, you know, with great power, there's usually a catch, right? Great responsibility.
You've absolutely hit on maybe the most critical point here. The sources are very clear that this unparalleled editability of the YHVHOS, it's also a gateway to profound dangers.
Dangers? Like what?
Corruption, distortion, and something they call the insidious phenomenon of recursive misnaming.
Recursive misnaming. Okay, that sounds bad. What exactly is it?
It's not just making a mistake. It's an error that once encoded into the system, whether consciously or unconsciously through our spellcraft, it starts to perpetuate itself.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it distorts everything that comes after it. It feeds disharmony back into the very fabric of reality. Imagine coding a tiny bug into the core operating system of your computer. It wouldn't just stay put, right? It could corrupt everything else.
So if we misunderstand something fundamental, or maybe our intention isn't quite pure, that error just keeps amplifying itself through the system. That's kind of terrifying.
It is, yeah. The sources warn that when free will isn't tethered to a deep understanding of the system's underlying harmony, it becomes a potent tool for creating disharmony. We can accidentally introduce these energetic bugs, and they result in distorted karmic echoes.
And language plays into this too.
Hugely. If our foundational concepts, the very words we use, are based on misunderstanding or distortion, then our spellcraft becomes an act of misnaming reality. We're essentially programming distortion into the system. And because the system is generative, it constantly creates and replicates. That distortion just propagates and amplifies itself through successive cycles.
Wow, and you said the system processes all input, so even if we resist something or deny it, that can still feed the problem.
It seems so. The system apparently has this inherent resilience. Things like resistance, rebellion, or even simple denial are not external disruptions. They get treated as integrated feedback loops that can inadvertently sustain the very system or pattern you're resisting.
So it doesn't judge the input, it just processes it.
Exactly. It processes all input. So if we're consistently putting out disharmonious input, consciously or not, that becomes part of the ongoing cycle. Remember the final he, the reflective completion and karmic return?
Yeah.
Well, that reflects the sum total of our scripting, conscious and unconscious. So if the initial intent, yod, was corrupted, or the unfolding first he distorted, or the connections vav misaligned, then that final he, the karmic return, the reality we experience, it will reflect that disharmony.
So it really is a profound feedback loop. We get back what we put in amplified.
Precisely. And this is why the sources stress that the ethical imperative of gnosis is paramount.
Gnosis meaning?
Not just knowledge in the intellectual sense, but cultivating profound wisdom and discernment, really understanding the system and our place in it. It's about ensuring that our interactions, our spellcraft, actually enhance cosmic harmony, rather than making us, an agent of pervasive disharmony, endlessly trapped in cycles of recursive misnaming. It's about becoming conscious, ethical co-creators.
Wow, okay. We have covered a lot of ground today. Really profound concepts.
We certainly have.
We started with this idea of the YHVH operating system, this sort of cosmic blueprint for reality.
Mm-hmm.
Then we really dug into our potential role as co creators, using language as spellcraft, using our own inner energy, that key or inner fire.
Right, the raw material.
Yeah, then we looked at how we can read the world around us, the energy in crystals, these vast dragon veins in the earth, even the pulsing energy of our own cities.
Reading the energetic landscape.
Exactly. And finally, how the universe gives us feedback through synchronicity, through that synchronous resonance, but also the huge responsibility that comes with this editability, the danger of that recursive misnaming.
It definitely changes how you think about your own agency, your own responsibility, doesn't it?
Hmm.
If reality truly is this editable system, with these feedback loops built right in, then suddenly every thought, every word, every action feels weightier, more significant.
Absolutely. So maybe something for you to ponder. Consider this. If every thought, every word, every subtle interaction really does contribute to the programming of reality, what hidden code might you be inadvertently writing today? And maybe more importantly, how could you consciously start to revise it for greater harmony, both in your own life and maybe in the world around you?
A powerful question to sit with.
Definitely something to think about until our next deep dive.